You're listening to Oilersnation Radio, presented by the Nation Network.
I'm just going to let this go for a little bit. You guys liking this intro music?
Do you remember where you parked your car, Baggedmilk?
What? Gonna go ahead and give a shout out to a local producer, Lot D. We told Jared we wanted to do a little local band, local music promo at the beginning and end of these podcasts, and he's picking out some fresh tracks. That one by Lot D. What do you guys think? Good?
This is probably the perfect time for Chris to take the shot that he has to take for the podcast because he didn't win the group chat bet that we had during the shootout.
A little background on that, please, Cooom. Go ahead.
So right when the Oilers started the shootout, because I'm going through a big kick on prop bets right now. It's kind of my hobby.
About that as well.
Really into betting. Since I got back.
We've been meaning to talk to you about this.
Yeah.
You're in a safe place here.
So what I did is they start the shootout and I say, all right, quick prop bet. Guess how many rounds this shootout is going to go. And whoever is right gets to pick who takes a shot on the podcast. And Jared, the producer of the podcast, who you guys never hear, he's sitting over there making a fist right now. He's got a shot ready for Chris the intern because Chris was wrong. Jared was correct.
Okay, wait, I just thought of something. The shootout went, 5 rounds?
The shootout went 5 rounds. Jared picked 6. It was Price is Right style.
You guessed 3.
I guessed 3.
So you're out.
So
I guessed 4.
Price is Right rules.
No, but
it's whoever is
Jared
the lowest
without
going over.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, Jared went over.
No, he didn't. He picked 5.
You're thinking about it reverse-wise. Technically,
no, because
I won.
if even if you were correct, then I win, because I picked 4.
Like, my guessing 3 is equivalent to guessing 1 in Price is Right. Like, I went under.
The entire prep of this show, Chris has been trying to get away.
Yeah, Chris has been trying to avoid this shot of vodka. It's sitting right beside me. I'm looking at it. Jared has been pointing at Chris the entire time.
Jared hasn't even picked a person to do the shot yet.
Baggedmilk is the adjudicator.
Jared
is the adjudicator of this.
Chris, I was not involved in the bet. I was working on the wrap-up. I was doing some tweets, but I was supervising, and down the hatch it goes. There's a straight shot of vodka for Chris at 11:30 in the morning on a Friday.
I was doing the tweets, and I still made the bet.
How was that? Was that delightful?
It was fine.
I want to thank our friends at Sherwood Ford, the Giant, for hooking us up with this. Go give them a follow on Twitter at Sherwood Ford and on Instagram at Sherwood Ford_the Giant. Go see our friends at Sherwood Ford for all of your vehicular needs, and follow Jay as he travels around the city and take pictures of his truck and hashtag that with Nation Truck. You will be entered to win a $100 gas card.
I'm getting all sweaty now. I don't remember the last time I did a vodka shot.
That's not how vodka shots work.
Nobody should ever take a vodka shot, if I'm being honest.
Like, it's fine, but...
Are you doing that? Are you getting the hot tub mouth where it like bubbles up in your mouth and you're swallowing the saliva and the whole thing?
No, I've just got I'm wearing a hoodie and it's kind of hot in here, but it's
always hot in here, man.
I'm even more hot now than I was a minute ago.
You are very attractive as well.
Thank you.
I also want to, before we start this podcast, I want to give a shout out to Jay's Club Monaco sweater that he's wearing today. I didn't know we had gone back to the early 90s, but I was impressed. I think he is also wearing Bugle Boy jeans. I can't confirm. I'll go flip the tag up on those when I get back upstairs, but shout out to Jay's Club Monaco sweater. Now, boys, I want to talk about the Oilers are on a 2-game win streak for the first time since early December, and I want to get your take on the 2 wins. The first one was the 7-2 rout over the Sabres, despite the fact that they were heavily outshot. That was a hell of a game by Koskinen there. And then the 3-2 shootout win over Vancouver was just a couple of days ago. I want to get your take on both of those wins. Cam, I'll start with you. What do you think about that win against Buffalo?
I was at the win against Buffalo. I didn't realize I was going to the game until about 6:45, so I showed up halfway through the first period. And as soon as I showed up, Milan Lucic saw that I was in the audience, and he started to turn on the Jets, and he buried a couple of goals. And I thought that was a big game changer. But no, in all seriousness, it was one of those classic cases, I think, of a game that the shot clock doesn't really tell the story. It was kind of
a lot of outside shots.
Yeah, it was one of those, the fancy stats are inaccurate stories. Buffalo was a train wreck in their own zone. And a big reason why the Oilers had so few shots, despite being in Buffalo's zone a lot, is because, they had the ability to set up for quality chances. They didn't have to just fire from the outside like Buffalo was doing. The Sabres were just coming down and shooting wrist shots from everywhere. And then in their own zone, it was just a nightmare. The Oilers, had tons of time to set up, put together quality chances. And honestly, I'm surprised it didn't end up with 10 goals.
One of the few kind of games where I would agree that getting 43 shots for the Sabres didn't necessarily mean 43 shots. Chris, thoughts?
I think the common denominator dominate. Oh, this is vodka
Common
shots.
dominator.
Chris is drunk. Chris is drunk.
I think the common denominator for both these games, besides Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Connor McDavid, and Leon Draisaitl, is Mikko Koskinen.
Mikko
Strong.
Koskinen had very strong games in both, I thought.
Yeah, I think that was the answer that we've been looking for, which may relate back to a future conversation we need to have about the answer. But Mikko Koskinen stood on his head both games. He made saves when we needed him, and goaltending, something we haven't really had consistently over the last couple month at least. And hopefully he can continue this.
Dan, I wanted to bring up Koskinen as well because in that game against Vancouver, he allowed 2 goals on 11 shots. Oilers got a little bit of luck with the hitch block and the coach's challenge, the offside review. That would have been 3-12, which is a lot uglier than 2-11. What do you think about Koskinen over these last 2 wins?
Well, I think you kind of hit it on the head there too. The last 2 or 3 losses that we've had, there's been pucks go in off of defensemen. There's been pucks that went in off of Connor Garland's face. There was a puck that bounced off the backboards right into Connor Garland's skate and then into the net. I think a lot of what happened in the last 2 games has just been the hockey gods smiling down on us again. The Canucks had 3 or 4 empty nets that they missed wide open shots on. We had that the 2 saves in that game by Russell and Nurse, who came up big for us with the goal line stops, and then like you said, the offside that I was actually listening to the game from Stauffer and Jack at that point, and they didn't believe that it was offside. So I think it was a good help of luck.
Was the offside? I think, I was at work for that one, so I didn't get to really understand what it had. Was it the one guy with his skate, or was it the guy changing?
It was the guy changing.
Because they were both offside then, because the one guy, his left foot came off the ice before the puck went in, therefore his right foot was leading the way. That would have put him in off the side position as well.
That was Sutter.
Yeah, but the biggest thing is going on right now is they're getting secondary scoring. I honestly don't believe our goaltending has changed all that much in the last couple months here. It's been up and down, within a certain level of standards here. I honestly still believe Talbot's the better goaltender. I'd be playing him a lot more than I would Koskinen right now, but I think there's an organizational decision where they're really pushing Koskinen to see what they're going to do for next year, because I'm not 100% sold on bringing back Talbot. But the biggest thing that's going on right now is they're actually getting scoring away from the top 2 lines. So when you have JJ out there scoring and you can get some out of Cassian and Lucic, if we can get that for the rest of the year, we can take that first spot in the wild card. And I think trying to close the gap between us and Vegas, that 11 points right now, is going to be really tough. But if we get that secondary scoring, we'll sneak in with a wild card spot.
Man, if we were getting secondary scoring this whole season, imagine where we'd be.
Even just like half the games would be cool.
Half the games, yeah.
Maybe a quarter of the games would be cool. I'm not being greedy, Cam. Well, you guys have talked about the goalies, so I looked at their last 7 starts. Koskinen has had 4 games under 900 for his save percentage, but he's got 3 wins. Talbot has 3 games under 900 with 2 wins. So to me, they've both been very inconsistent. And I think that's obviously a problem. And you have both your goalies kind of being on the roller coaster ride. I think that no matter which team it is, you're not going to have a good time. Thoughts, Cam? You're shaking your head yes.
This is accurate. A key to winning in the NHL is goaltending. The Oilers, with this duo at any given time, should have a pretty good goalie. It's hard to imagine both Talbot and Koskinen going cold. It happened for about a week and a half. But for the rest of the season, I know we talked, it was a while ago, there was a rumor that came out that said Cam Talbot was someone the Oilers could trade. And I think it came out again when Ryan Rishaug tweeted out.
Full court press.
Full court press. They have every single fucking scout in the organization out there trying to find a forward. And they're like, it's going to be difficult with the cap, so they could move Talbot. I don't think that's a prudent idea. I think you want to have both guys down the stretch, because even though he used to be the answer for about 45 minutes one night when we were really drunk at the pint, Al Montoya was the answer. I do not want Al Montoya being the Edmonton Oilers backup down the stretch.
No, you need
that
someone.
Is a bad
you need someone more established to him, and it makes things interesting because they do have an important decision coming up on what to do with goaltending, and you need the rest of the half. You need to look at them for the rest of the season to determine which goalie to take or if you want both goalies. I don't know. It's a toss up for me right now, and I need like 35 more games to watch the goalies and figure out what to do.
Do you think there is any risk of going through the trade deadline, having both of these guys without moving any of them based on asset management? Dan?
I mean, I don't know. There's people in this organization, and I think Peter Chiarelli is one of them, that believe that this team is 1 or 2 trades away from competing deep into the playoffs. And I just don't know if that's true or not. I think that if we're going to continue with Peter Chiarelli as our GM, I think we just need to stand pat with what we have right now, see what happens. You make the playoffs with Connor McDavid, anything can happen.
Right now, getting deep into the playoffs isn't front of mind right now. I just want to get into the playoffs, and I'm honestly, with our roster, I would expect nothing less to be out of the first round.
Which is frustrating when you have the best player on your team, or the best player in the world.
Oh yeah, it is frustrating.
Do you guys remember 2006? We weren't expected to do anything there.
Well, they were one of the biggest fake 8 seeds ever.
Yeah, I think a full season with like Spacek and Rolison and Tarnstrom, I have a hard time believing the Oilers finished 8th.
Yeah.
Well, I think I'm going to say it was pretty much 44 that got us through that. I know I love all the help from Spacek and Dickie T and
Sergei Samsonov.
Hey, loved him.
Key goals.
Oh, buddy, that guy.
Pass over to Hemmer in Game 6, Round 1.
It's funny how we all remember that so well.
Yeah, with the amount of alcohol I drank after, I should not remember
years
any
ago.
of that.
Yeah, 13 years ago, and you can remember like a specific pass that led to a goal.
Oh, I was watching the YouTube video yesterday, all the goals from the 06 runs.
The hair just stands up on your arms, you get all excited.
Yeah, but do you think a team like the, say, Penguins, who've been in the playoffs like forever, in the last, well, I'll go Blackhawks. I don't know. Choose a team. You think they remember a specific pass that happened like 6 to 8 years ago? Probably not.
Depends on what happened the rest of that go. I mean, if they were out in the first round, maybe not. But if it took them all the way to the end, then for sure.
I agree with Chris here, though. I think the Penguins and Chicago fans are just spoiled brats.
I have way more.
That's what I was getting
I have
at.
way more vivid memories from the 06 run than I do the 2017 run.
Chances are that's because you were way drunker in the 2017.
I was infinitely more sober as a 12-year-old in 06 than I was when I first started working here full time, and you guys put me through my initiation during the playoffs.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying is there was a lot of alcohol introduced to your brain. One thing I want to talk about from this last win against Vancouver is the OT. 3-on-3 OT is probably the best thing the NHL has done in ages. And it almost felt anticlimactic to me to have it settled in the shootout. So here's my idea. I've tabled this before. I want to bring this to you guys now. What do you think about extending the 3-on-3 from 5 minutes to 10 minutes, abolishing the shootout? Now, here's why I think that works. Everybody's going to be like, oh, well, you can't have Connor playing 10 minutes in OT. That's my fucking point. Then you get the third and fourth liners from all teams in the mix. And then all of a sudden, the matchup game gets a lot more interesting. The mistakes are getting made. The matchups are going to go wrong somewhere. It is going to be wild, wild west. And I can't imagine a lot of games will get through 10 minutes of that in a tie.
I don't know what kind of physical state I'd be after 10 minutes of OT.
Oh, like, as a fan, you'd have a heart attack.
I was happy. I was almost happy the OT ended after 5 because my body couldn't take any more intensity.
So you do not like my 10-minute OT?
No, I don't.
Cam?
I think, yeah, the 10-minute OT is one thing, but the really important thing is getting rid of the loser point, because the Vancouver game, that like final 15 minutes of the third period was so bad because you could tell both teams are going for the overtime. And the overtime was fantastic. So I agree, like, extend that 20 minutes, half an hour, 6 hours. I don't give a fuck. Like, give me 3-on-3 the whole time. Like, make the league NHL hits. Like, I'm all in. But you need to get rid of the loser point. I would honestly take the tie back over having loser points and shootouts.
I never had a problem with ties. It always.
Oh, no, I hate
Or
ties.
you would have to go to a 3-point win in regulation kind of thing.
Yeah.
We've talked about that too. Dan, what do you think about my idea of extending the OT?
Well, I mean, yeah, the 3-on-3 OT is just absolute crack on ice, and it's hard to look away from. There's some things that I think that they could do to make the 5 minutes even better. Perhaps a over and back rule where you can't go back over the blue line once you cross it would help enforce a lot of action, because a lot of teams like the Oilers
Second puck on the ice, bonus puck.
just play they just play the puck and possession game, and they exit the zone and then they go do their line changes. it just can kill the.
Well, you can do that
the
floating blue line thing where once you cross
Like
the
in
blue
ball
line,
The ball hockey
the ball
blue
hockey thing
line,
where
yeah.
you cross the blue line, now you're in the zone, but to leave the zone again, you got to cross center.
The NHL has so many more problems to fix before they start altering OT.
That's not really a problem though. It's just trying to add to
Yeah.
the fun. Just turn the clock. Honestly, just turn the clock off. You don't need a 5 minute, 10
Totally.
minute. Doesn't matter. 6 hours.
Because in the
I don't give a
NBA,
shit.
they have those like fourth overtimes. It's good stuff.
Yeah, but they do like 5. They do 5
Yeah.
minute whatever, right?
Because
It's as long as
people's
it's tied
problem is
still.
they're like, oh, like the TV slot isn't long enough. We can't have overtime go more than fucking 10 minutes.
Well, they don't want the players playing that much. Is what the
I also think the PA has something to say
it's the
about
PA
it.
that doesn't want to do it, right? Because they don't. If you do playoff overtime, you put 2 of those in a row, and these guys are playing ridiculous amounts of minutes all of a sudden.
True.
But
I
yeah,
don't-
just turn the clock off and let them go. It's
Hockey
not gonna,
players-
It's rarely gonna go 10 minutes, anyways.
Hockey players are soft. Baseball players are tough. In baseball, games can go 19 innings, and they will be back out there the next day at noon.
Yeah, and they play 162 games.
I just
a
think it
year.
would be so interesting to have the guys that don't belong on a 3-on-3 in the mix. It would just add a completely different layer to the onion. And I love the 3-on-3 so much. It bums me out when games end in a shootout after a really good 3-on-3. Anyway, we gotta give a shout out to our friends at Sherwood Ford, the Giant. Go check them out in Sherwood Park, Alberta. Follow them on Twitter at Sherwood Ford and on Instagram at SherwoodFord_the Giant. Boys, we are coming up to the trade deadline. We are about 6 weeks away ish, give or take.
Yeah.
And the Oilers rumors have been coming out a lot lately. Ryan Rishaug just this last week said that they are in full court press to try and get some forward help. Some of the names that have been floated have been Jesse Puljujarvi is being available. The first round pick this year is being available. I have very strong concerns about allowing Pistol Pete Chiarelli to make his way through another trade deadline, given the work he's done since he's got here, really. I mean, yes, there are a handful of good trades, but the majority of them are bad. My question for you guys is, let's assume that Peter Chiarelli is going to go through the trade deadline because the Oilers are the Oilers, and that seems like a very Oilery thing to do. In your opinion, if he is in control at the deadline, which is February 25th, I believe, what would be a successful deadline day for the Oilers? Dan?
Getting rid of some of the pickups he's already made. So if
That's beyond successful.
so if he can get Ryan Spooner out of here for maybe a draft pick,
7th round.
yeah.
Oh,
If he could
Maybe
get
some water
somebody to
bottles.
take on Brandon Manning at this point,
that's just
I don't think he gets out of either one of those. He might be able to get a Spooner. I think Manning.
You have to do bad contract for bad contract. Like you could probably swap Spooner for like Dale Weiss, who the Flyers had on waivers recently. Like that kind of thing. Like similar bad contracts, bad players, but like you're not going to get like a pick for Spooner. No one's doing
If we can get out of this and not lose any top 6 roster players or anybody under the age of 22, if Pete's still in control, I think we have to consider that a check mark. I think next weekend's really going to be a determiner on who's the GM going forward. I think over that week off, they will sit down and try and figure it out. Because if you don't have faith in Chiarelli, you can't allow him to take it into the trade deadline. So if he makes it through next weekend, then he's here for the rest of the season.
Oh yeah.
And then I'm gonna be awfully sweaty come February 25th.
Around the table real quick, do you think everybody think P's going to be here through the trade deadline? Dan?
I do now. Yeah, that they've won 2 games.
Chris?
yeah, I think so.
Cam?
Will be, but shouldn't be.
Yeah, and I agree with that too. It's a very Oilery thing to do. To me, a winning deadline would be, like you guys said, trying to clear out some of that dead weight from the bottom half of the roster. The problem is other GMs don't want it.
No.
Do you know what I mean? In 31 Thoughts this past week, Elliot Friedman honestly made me burst out laughing out loud when he said, and Edmonton has made everyone aware that Ryan Spooner's available for trade. Like, great. Like, so what? Nobody
I'm
cares.
also available as an unrestricted free agent to sign.
Yeah, sign Cooom. He will be able to sit in the press box just as well as Spooner and Brandon Manning can. In fact, he might tell you some jokes while he's up there. You'll be entertained. Chris, what do you think about having Cooom as a free agent signing for the Oilers at the deadline?
Yeah, I'd take him. He's a good locker room guy, good shower guy, knows lots of jokes.
Did you just say a good shower guy?
Yeah, shower joke guy. Everyone needs
Oh.
a shower joke guy.
I'm the kind of guy who is the first one in the shower, the last one out. Always telling jokes.
Exactly.
Asking trivia questions in the shower.
Yesterday on the Nation, Dusty went through the TSN trade board and kind of put his most likely targets that the Oilers may try to acquire. So I'm going to pick his top three. His top three was Matt Zuccarello from the Rangers, Michael Ferland from Carolina, and Ryan Dzingel from Ottawa. And I'm curious if any of those names kind of tickle your fancy, and if they do, what would you think is a realistic trade to acquire them? Cam?
I have a feeling the Oilers, they're saying they're shopping the first, but I think they're adverse to moving it personally. I would bet that they're going to try and convince other teams to take Puljujarvi rather than the first, and I think that's what they're going to dangle as their thing to acquire a rental. And I just have this weird feeling that it's going to be like Puljujarvi for Matt Zuccarello.
Do you like that trade?
No, I don't like it at all. Like I really have a hard time believing Puljujarvi is going to pan out in Edmonton, and I think that's more on the organization than the player. I wouldn't mind moving Puljujarvi. Like we saw a trade yesterday, or I guess on Thursday, depending on when you listen to the podcast, between Minnesota and Carolina, Victor Rask for Nino Niederreiter. Like if you're going to trade Puljujarvi, I'd rather it be for a guy that's under control, because at least you get another project that can stick around. But like Zuccarello or Dzingel, like while they will probably help the team make the playoffs now, and they bolt in July, it's kind of like, well, there's a real waste of an asset, right?
Exactly.
Chris, what do you like any of those names, Zuccarello, Ferland, or Dzingel?
Like, I don't hate them, but I can't think of anyone who I would give up in our no one in our top six for sure. Not Puljujarvi. Like Cam makes a good point about finding someone that will stick with the team and not just like who will be gone in the summer.
Dan,
I want Dzingel if I'm picking any of those guys out of that group, but it scares me to think that we'd have to give up Jesse for him.
Well, the thing is that I wouldn't hate, like I could say goodbye to Jesse Puljujarvi, but not with Peter Trelli trading, because I know our return isn't going to be good enough.
It's Jesse Puljujarvi.
Sorry,
Puljujarvi from Magnus.
No wonder he wants to leave. No, I don't think they do. They are going to move Puljujarvi. I think it came out early, and that might have been like a Pete thing trying to get it out there. And once the rest of the guys up there put down their glass of red wine and heard about the story, they kind of put the kibosh on that. The first round, I think it's available. It's going to be very expensive, and if you can come at them with something that's attainable, that's going to be, the guy's going to be here for a couple of years, sure, I'm okay with that. If that guy gets you into the first round of the playoffs, that's now a 15-16 pick. It's not the end of the world. Plus, we do have a decent amount of younger guys coming on their way up. I mean, you always want an extra first-round pick, but Puljujarvi doesn't go anywhere. I'd love to be able to get Zuccarello, but he's too expensive, and he's a UFA, so you can't really spend anybody on him. Pete's put us in a spot where we have no assets to make any of these trades, so unless he pulls out another Maroon out of his ass, I don't see anybody of any type of substance coming in.
Hey, Maroon could be had. Patrick Maroon's an impending free agent in St. Louis, not playing very well. Could have him.
Probably be a cheap acquisition as well to bring Patty back. He'd be pumped to be back here. Is there anybody kind of like a player type that they need? I know a lot of people are talking about Wayne Simmons, but to me that doesn't make sense, as he's going to be a UFA and he's going to cash in a massive check in July as well. Cam, you wrote about it on The Nation this past week, why the Oilers should avoid shopping for UFAs. Can you just do a quick run through of why you think that's a bad idea? Yeah,
so I did a post back last weekend, and I just thought, all right, the Oilers this year realistically aren't set up to go deep in the playoffs. The reality of the roster is, they're good enough to be a playoff team, but they probably lose in the first round. Maybe they make it to the second round. They're just not a serious contender. And teams like that you don't give up your first round pick, which is like, it's key for the Oilers to continue floating in first round picks to their roster, given their cap situation. So you can't give away those like long-term assets for a 1-year run. So I went and found kind of like a longer list of guys that have term on their contract, guys like Braden Shen. He's got another couple years left. Tyler Toffoli is another one. Teo Vuteravainen in Carolina. And then defensemen like Sami Vatanen, Dougie Hamilton, Justin Falk, Jake Muzzin. Those are the kind of guys that you can give up a first round pick to get, because they're all going to be here also for next year. And the team could be in better shape to actually make damage in the playoffs next year, like depending on, San Jose could take a step back if Erik Karlsson leaves via free agency. Maybe the Flames are overachieving this year. Maybe Vegas is overachieving. I don't know. maybe the Oilers can rise up and be a better team. It's just right now that's not a thing. And you want to get a guy that can sure help you this year, but ultimately help you long term if that's what you're going to be sacrificing.
Long story short, the Oilers are not the Tampa Bay Lightning. Giving up a first round pick for like a UFA ad to make a deep run, it's just, it's pointless. It's bad asset management. Does anybody like the idea of trading a first or Puljujärvi for UFAs? Anybody around the horn real fast? Dan?
Nope.
Chris?
No.
Cam's
Nada.
already no. Rick is nodding no as well.
Actually, I'm okay if we traded the first round pick for.
If it's lottery protected, I don't mind that.
Yeah.
For a UFA though?
For a good UFA. I'm not saying like you're going after, even just a package of UFAs, but
It's probably safe to say that any UFA that comes through Edmonton is not going to want to stay here.
Well, I don't know if that's true exactly, but that's a very negative spin on that, Chris.
wow.
You
I'm just
really
thinking-
ruined my Friday, man. Yeah, just like plug him right next to Connor and just be like, hey, maybe you can like hang out. You go out for some dinner.
Yeah, that'd
Nice.
be amazing. But then he gets like 2 months of feeling the pressure it is in Edmonton, and then like all the heat you get from
Yeah,
management
but
and
that
stuff
the
like that.
pressure. If they get into the playoffs with this guy, that guy's never going to want to leave because this is the best city in the world. If they actually make the playoffs, we damn near broke $1 billion arena there a couple years ago. You were there. That thing was bouncing.
Yeah,
The Kings
you're
this
right.
morning.
That thing was bouncing. If you get that guy walking around that building, he's seeing that type of energy, he's going to want to stay. He's living in Connor's basement. That's a good life for me. Tell me who's got a better one. That's like Crosby living in Mario's basement. Crosby still hasn't left Pittsburgh. I don't even think he's left Mario's basement yet. I wouldn't have.
You make a good point.
But what if they acquire the player and it's like it is outside today and it's cold as fuck? It's icy. It's not nice outside.
You know
today
what?
at
We've
all.
had a very mild winter by Edmonton standards. Thank you very much to global warming. I apologize to the coastal cities. However, deep here near the mountains, we are appreciative. So all this is basically speculation as we lead up to the trade deadline. We're going to talk about it a lot over the next 5-6 weeks until we get there. One thing that did happen for certain this week was the addition of one Colby Cave, a waiver pickup from the Boston Bruins.
I
That
believe it's pronounced Cave.
if he wants to French it up and call himself Cave, that's fine. But I'm calling him the Spree Lunker. It is Colby Cave. This season, he has 21 games played, 1 goal, 4 assists for 5 points. In his first game with the Oilers, he played .935 and had 1 shot on goal. What was your thoughts when you saw the Oilers picking up Colby Cave?
Well, he's a Boston draft pick. Charlie drafted him, so I mean, go figure.
Signed him as a free agent.
That was actually one of his last moves.
It was a last
before he was
transaction.
fired as Bruins GM.
He didn't. As soon as a guy comes into the organization, you have to look to see the connection to Chiarelli.
And it's funny because right before that happened, there's a meme going around about how Charlie's probably Googling former Boston picks and pickups and stuff. And there he goes.
He has to Google his own picks and
No,
pickups.
sorry.
I wouldn't be
the
surprised if he had to
meme-
Google his own picks.
The meme where Oilers scouts Googling prior to Chiarelli.
Thoughts on the Colby Cave pickup? Did you care? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Indifferent?
I was a fan of it just for the fact that it moves Jujar. It ostensibly moves Jujar to the left wing again.
I agree.
He had a couple games there where he was playing center and he just didn't look as comfortable as he has on the wing. And for a team that has as much struggle on the wing as we do, I think it's effective to have him move up and down the lineup if you need him to be.
And we saw it against Vancouver. I know it's shorthanded and it wasn't like a 5-on-5 goal or anything, but Jujar Kara's goal against Vancouver was a fucking beauty.
Oh, it's great.
Great little spin, beautiful shot. I like the idea of moving Jujar up in the lineup, so I understand why Colby Cave was picked up. Cam, what do you think?
I think Colby Cave is a perfect poor man's Ryan Strome acquisition. It would have been nice if the Oilers could have just kept the Ryan Strome they had and kept him in that role. But now they have another bottom 6 center, which they only had one of when they inexplicably got rid of Ryan Strome.
Yeah, if he could just handle that fourth line center or, kind of split third and fourth with Brodziak, I think he can win a couple of face-offs. Does he kill penalties at all?
Probably.
Probably, yeah.
If you're
he
in
out there
the
do
league
that,
and you're that guy, you don't kill penalties.
really all it does loosen up JJ to go play on the left side. I think he's better suited on the second or third line on a proper team, but right now we don't really have anybody that can take that first. So yeah, no, sneak him up there with Connor. He can skate with him. He's got some hands and he's got some moves, man. He knows what he's doing with the puck. So if he gets a little bit of confidence in him, he can get a couple for us.
Well, if there's one thing we know about Peter Chiarelli, it's his player assessment. And so for him to have gone out and got his guy off waivers, that's huge.
Yep.
Do you like this addition more, less, or about equal to when they picked up Valentin Zykov off waivers about a month ago?
See, this is the thing, is we've seen so many bottom six forwards, so many bottom pairing defensemen come in and out of this organization. It's just like hard to believe in anyone anymore. It's depressing.
I like it for the fact that it gets Gambardella out of the lineup. And I think that's something that the team needs more of, is guys that we can take a flyer on. There's not a lot of risk to it. The Zykov thing, okay, it didn't work out, so he's gone, and he's gone to Vegas, or he was going to be down on our farm team. Either way, it's fine. I think that it's important to get a guy like Gambardella out of his who's playing out of his weight class, and now he's back in the AHL working on his game. If we could do that with a guy like Yamamoto or Puljujarvi, that would be ideal. But here we are.
Cam, are you a big Colby Cave guy?
I'm glad they picked Colby Cave on waivers, because I wouldn't be surprised if the Bruins could have talked Chiarelli into doing like Yamamoto for Cave or something. So
Looking back,
thank fuck he was on waivers.
Looking back at Zykov really quickly, he played 5 games in Edmonton, didn't do jack shit. He's only played once in Vegas. I assume he'll be hitting the waiver wire again shortly.
Do we like Zykov like on the whole, or like what was everybody's opinion of Zykov?
You can take him on your hole anytime you want. I found I was indifferent. You know what? He didn't do anything here. He got sent down. He's not doing anything in Vegas. He's not even playing in Vegas. So
the Cave acquisition makes more sense because you're more likely to grab a guy on waivers that works in your bottom 6. Whereas Zykov, it's kind of like, okay, if you can't hack it in the top 6, you're not playing, because you're not playing on the 4th line, because you're like kind of a scorer. But with Cave, it's like, I don't know, it's more of it's an easier role to morph into if you're just a mediocre player.
Cave's at a 675,000. He signed this year. He signed next year. He could settle into a 4th line role. We'll see. You know
Give
what I mean?
him a 4-year deal right now.
Hey, lock him up if he gets a little run here. Why not?
That's the price you pay.
Hey, if he scores a goal, I made a prop bet with a guy on Twitter. If Cave scores,
Cam's gambling problem rears its ugly head again.
Like I said, since I got back from Vegas, I've been all about prop bets, and I've got this guy on Twitter bet me if Colby Cave scores a goal as an Edmonton Oiler, then he has to buy an authentic Colby Cave jersey.
Do you
and
think,
if he doesn't?
And if he doesn't, then I'm buying a Peter Chiarelli jersey that every game next year I have to visibly wear that I go to.
That is a tough bet. You know, I like these prop bets. We're going to continue on this conversation. I just want to give a shout out to our friends at Get Sauced. Go check them out at getsauced.com. We are doing giveaways of their delicious sauces on Inside the Nation on Mondays, Chris. We are sending those out on a weekly basis, and you are going to enjoy it. Now, go check them out, getsauced.com. Give them a call, 780-462-2418. I want to get back to these prop bets that Cam's talking about. I really like the idea of mixing it up with the readers like this. And that brings us nicely into our Milan Lucic goal draft update. We all drafted. We all had 11 games. We all looked at the schedule and decided that these were going to be the moments when Milan Lucic was going to rip it up and that we were going to have a overwhelming victory. However, what's happened is Cam is running away with this contest. He had 2 goals against Buffalo. He had the 1 goal against San Jose. Those were 2 of Cam's first 3 games. Now he has a 3-goal lead, which may be insurmountable. Cam, how do you feel so far?
I feel fantastic, and I also just never felt in doubt. Like, I knew when I was making my picks that Milan was going to come through to me, and those are my late picks. Those are 2 picks I made in the latter half of the draft. I've still got my April 6th against Calgary at the end of the season. I know he's going to score there. I wouldn't be surprised if he scored twice.
We got a question that came in from Max on Twitter. Has the fact that Cooom is the only person with Lucic goals gone to his head yet? And I want to, before I get to Cam's answer, I want to get to you boys. Has this gone to Cam's head, Dan?
It's insufferable. This is the worst thing that's ever happened in the office. We've had a flood in the office before, and this just pales in comparison to this.
Yeah, out of all the people for this to happen to, of course it's Cooom. Like, there's no worse person in the office to have this big of an ego, and his head is just like bigger than this room right now.
And I was legitimately excited for Cooom after the first goal. Like I was
like, oh, that's cool. Like Lucic got a goal, we're all happy, and then.
But I'm at the Buffalo game, and the crowd is celebrating these Lucic goals, and I am just sitting there slunked over. And people are like, "What's wrong with you?" I'm like, "Cam just got another one." And that, they understood. They
And
got
I
it.
also ended up on the Jumbotron.
You did.
That was a big night for you.
Very
That was
corner
probably
Jumbotron.
Milan doing that for you, to be
Yeah,
honest.
Lucic said, all right, I'm going to bury 2. Camera guy, please keep your eye out for this handsome looking boy. He's going to be in the lower bowl. Get him on the Jumbotron.
When he scored, what was more like the first goal he scored against Buffalo was a beauty.
That was sweet.
Picked it up, interception, roofed it, hell of a goal. Second one, he just ripped it straight through.
It's like he's closing his eyes and just
Shout out to
shooting on
Carter
that.
Hutton for allowing that one to go through. Which one, did you freak out being in the building and having him score 2?
Oh, yeah. The second one, after he scored the second one, I genuinely thought he's going to score a hat trick and we're going to close this thing down. Like the bet's over. I win. It's game over. I thought it was happening for sure. And I couldn't even think about the 7-2 score. Honestly, for me, it was a 2-0 win.
I could see Coombs' head swelling from the upper bowl. I didn't know where he was sitting, but then immediately after the second goal, I was like, holy crap. There it is. That's not a blimp. That's Coombs' head.
So here's what I want to float. Here's the idea I have, because I feel like a 3-goal lead in the Lucic goal draft is a big problem for the rest of us. I want to add in a side bet on this, where we pool the rest of our remaining games. Rick has half a game left, I think. Rick, myself, Dan, and Chris, we pool our games together in a side bet against Cam. All of us.
Okay, and
Against
what are
Cam.
we?
So Cam has 8 games left. The rest of us would have, roughly
27. I just counted.
we would have 27 games amongst the other 4 of us. Do you think that there is something here where the 4 of us pool our games together against Cam's 3 goals?
Well, it has to. The stakes have to be right. I don't want to.
Yeah, you guys are going to have
We don't
what
have to
happens-
settle on this today. I'm
I don't
just
want to give
floating the
away
idea.
Frank for.
So everyone
for
has to
listeners.
give, if we're going to agree to this, everyone has to give me a prized possession. Chris gives me his wedding ring. Dan gives me whatever property he owns in Halifax, which you'll never hear him talking about it, but Dan used to live in Halifax. Rick lets me become manager of the Pint, and Baggedmilk gives me Frank.
So I'm saying we don't have to come up with a solution right now. I just feel like there's something there, a side bet. We'll have the original bet maintained, but I think that pooling all our games against Cam, there's something there.
So they say we win and Cam loses. Do we all just choose a jersey for Cam to win?
No.
I don't know. We have to work that out.
Yeah,
and I
you
think
can't,
that with the help of the listeners, the people that are listening to this, that are following along with the Lucic goal draft, maybe there's another idea that we could have. Something that we do, if we win, maybe Cam has to make us all individual cards.
That's nice.
Do you know what I mean? Maybe
But I do that every week anyway.
a nice painting, a personalized painting from Cam, something that we can hang up in the office. I don't know. If you're listening to this right now,
All right,
you have an
it's
idea.
a work in progress.
We're going to talk about it going forward. I just think there's something there where we can defeat Cam together, because this is an evil that is rising up before us, and I don't know if I'm going to allow this to happen.
This is how Lord of the Rings started, isn't it?
I don't,
The evil,
I've never
the
seen a
evil
Lord of the Rings
power
movie. I've never seen one.
got 3 goals from the unlikely hero, and the 4 people had to come together to journey to take the ring to the.
And that's what I'm saying, man. This
Volcano?
could be a journey to defeating Cam. This could be a
Everyone's
journey to
just
defeating
zoning
Cam.
out.
Honestly, I
Jared's
have
so
no
stressed out.
idea.
That's not the plot to Lord of the Rings at all.
I've never seen Lord of the Rings, so I'm just going to go ahead and buy it. Jared is shaking his head. No, Dan is wrong. So I'm going to assume Dan is wrong. If you're listening to this right now and you've got an idea of something that we could do, something we could bet. This is a side bet. This is bet 2. All of us against Cam. Let us know. Tweet at us at ON Radio Podcast or any of our personal Twitters as well at ON Radio Podcast. Now,
Also, if anybody could tell us what the plot of Lord of the Rings is for real.
if you've seen Lord of the Rings, please also let us know what's going on there. So this weekend, looking ahead at the goal draft, we've got Dan's got Calgary on Saturday. Chris has Carolina on Sunday.
Ooh.
Rick has a game against Detroit. And then Cooom comes up
there you
again after the break, first up against Philly on the 2nd. 3 games left before the break here, boys. What are you thinking? Dan, how are you feeling about tomorrow?
I'm loving it. David Rittich has been struggling. He got beat up by Buffalo there on was it Wednesday?
Confidence could be rattled.
Yeah, and Mike Smith's going to come in tonight and just shut down the Detroit Red Wings, and then Rittich is going to be feeling the heat from behind him. So Lucic is going to come in, rip another one of those beauties like he did underneath Carter Hutton somehow, and we're gonna have our first goal of the new prop bet.
Chris, how are you feeling about Sunday?
Feeling good about Sunday. I think over the next 4 games before the break, I expect if we continue the momentum we've got right now, if we come out with 3 wins out of the 4 games, I'm very happy. If we can go 2-2, I'm satisfied. I think Calgary will be the toughest game of the 4.
We're talking about the goal draft here, not our chances of it.
Yeah, your chances in the getting a goal against Carolina, man.
Oh yeah,
Be selfish.
We're being selfish here.
okay. Wow, I'm talking about the
Team player.
here.
Look, Chris is a team player.
Apologies,
That
yeah.
shot of vodka rattled Chris. He's off his game.
Unbelievable. He's just out of it. He's on a different podcast right now.
As I said before, I'm always confident with my Lucic games, so I'm through the roof on Sunday.
Rick, you've got Detroit on Tuesday. This is one of your
Is that your last pick, Rick? Is that the final one?
He's got 3 more after that.
There's a whole lot of season left.
We've got a lot of season left for Rick. He has got 4 games total left that I see. The one coming up on Tuesday, then he's got 2 in late February, and then one final one against Vegas in March on St. Patrick's Day, which also happens to be Rick's birthday. How are you feeling about Detroit? Do you feel confident? Are you upset that you wasted most of your games in December?
I'm not upset at all. I showed the big man some faith. I trusted him. I said, you know what? I think you're gonna snap out of this right away. And I have all the confidence in the world in him. I still think I said 6 or 7 goals by the end of the season, so I'm okay there. If Coom's up 3-0 right now, Detroit's not a very good team. I could honestly see Luch getting 1, 2, maybe even tying it all. I will be relatively close to the ace that day, and I will be bringing a hat to toss on there. And I would love nothing more than to walk out of that game without a hat and tied 3-3, 0-0-0 in the Luch draft.
Rick has more to gain from this double or nothing than anybody here, so this is a fair estimate.
Again, if you have an idea for the double or nothing side bet that we could do, hit us up. We're going to talk about it more as the weeks go on. Go ahead, Chris.
Thought here. Why would we let in Rick into our double or nothing?
Since he has no games to offer, that's a fair point,
Exactly.
Chris.
I think Rick should be on his own.
For us, the punishment has to be more. That's all. Or for Rick, the punishment would just be more. Like, he does have to give up his management job.
Yeah.
That's the way it is.
All right, that's fair.
But yeah. There's definitely going to be more because Rick's not bringing as many games to the table. That's for sure.
Next up, I want to look at Cam's hypothetical from last week. Last week, Cam said, would you rather go back to 2015, right before Peter Chiarelli was hired as GM, or would you do double McDavid? And I just wanted to check in on some of the answers that we got from some listeners because there were people jumping in on this as well. Cooom, I know that's very, very exciting for you. Just bear with me here as I'm going back. We have a lot of back in times, Cam.
Yeah.
A lot of back in times. Is that surprising to you?
That is what I think the correct answer is. I think it's very difficult to overstate just how monumentally Peter Chiarelli has mishandled this situation. I don't think, like, quite honestly, if you look at it like this, so think about all the assets that she has pissed away. So like Hall, Eberle, like Matt Barzal, and like all that, like that value equates to like a second McDavid, really.
Looking at the answers here, we have Ryan at Captain Felton says, as a wise man once said, Marty, we have to go back. That is a no vote for no Chiarelli. Steve says, agree with Baggedmilk and Rick. You have to go back in time and not hire Chiarelli. With the power of hindsight, you'd be able to undo so many mistakes and build a proper team around Connor. Two Connors wouldn't allow for a championship team to be built.
I think Baggedmilk last week you were on the 2 Connors train, weren't you?
No.
He was talking double. You, Dan, and Chris were on the double Connors thing. I thought that was because you were like, you could have.
Yeah, I was surprised that more people didn't want to see double Connors.
It's like people don't know how good Connor McDavid actually is.
I think people just know how dangerous clones are.
Well, Rick did bring up a valid point where one could be Mecha Connor, where he's super evil, doesn't really like to play that much. Maybe
that's not the bet.
Staying up late.
That's not the hypothetical.
Hypothetical is 2 clones, and you can allow. It's a choose your own adventure novel.
Yep. Boreal Ninja says you got to take the time machine option. You can't trust Chiarelli. McDavid, Draisaitl, Nuge, maybe Barzal, Eberle, and Hall. That's a good team.
It's a good team, but it's not a great team with 2 Connors.
Boreal Ninja follows it up, and he says a more competent GM could have patched together a defense, I'm sure. Don't need Nashville-type defense with forwards like the Oilers already had. Anybody changing their votes to the 2 McDavids?
No.
You boys are standing firm?
Yep.
Still confident with 2 Connors.
That power play, that the 1-2 power play instead of just having 1 power play like we do right now.
Yeah, that's
Doesn't
it's just
matter.
like
Who cares?
Doesn't matter.
I
So wait, you're
can't
putting the
both
second.
Connors.
You're
One
putting
of
the
the
second
Connor-
McDavid on the second power play
Yeah, I'd
unit.
be okay with
So he's
that.
going to be on the second power play unit with like Brian Spooner and Brandon Manning in front of the net. Like
You break it up. Yep.
the
it's
second,
fine.
like what?
Connor makes this
The
all
first
happen.
power play can't even score with one McDavid.
Okay,
You're gonna have
no,
two PP1s that can't score.
I would put the second Connor on the first power play with the first Connor, and then one of them would just learn to play right-handed.
There's a lot of Connor McDavid haters around this table.
There
Why
is
do you
no
guys
such
hate
thing as a
Connor
Connor McDavid hater. We are just looking at an overall picture. We're looking at the big picture. Thank you to Get Sauce for allowing us to look at such a large picture. Go check them out at getsauce.com. You can send them an email if you like. sales@getsauce.com. They'll get back to you with some information, whatever you're looking for. Go check them out at 9620 58th Avenue. Give them a call. Pull out your phone. You've got one. I know it's in your hand right now. 780-462-2418. Cameron, would you happen to have another hypothetical for this week?
I've got myself another hypothetical to ask you guys, but I don't know if it's as smooth as the last one. It's a little more complicated. I haven't put as much thought into rounding it out because I keep thinking about it and then I keep getting lost in the rabbit hole of what it means. But so here's kind of what I was asking the table this morning a little bit before you rolled in. Would you give up the Oilers' next 2 full years of draft picks if you can take any non-80s player? So no glory years, no Gretzky, no Curry, no Anderson, Fuhrer, none of that. Basically like any like 1990 guy on and have them on the team for the next year at a league minimum cost.
Hang on. I got questions. So you have to give up 2 years,
years of full
draft
draft
picks. So first through 7th round,
Yes.
that's 14 picks depending on how many they have.
Yep.
You only get this player back for 1 season?
1 year. So it's like a rental acquisition. Like think of a mega rental.
So like Pronger.
You can
We're
get
bringing back
0506 Pronger league minimum for 1 year. So you can bring him back right now and you have him for this year's playoff run, or you can have him starting next season in October.
It's no brainer. You have to do that.
And which
You
player are
have
you
to.
taking?
If you're not taking,
Are you taking 1992, 1993 Vincent Damphus?
If you're not taking Pronger, I mean, you have to take Pronger. That's the answer right there. He led the 06
Are you telling
team.
me Chris Pronger
to Game
is
7.
the answer?
Would be.
Question for you.
So-
this was a Chris Pronger 13 years ago. Do you think he can keep up to the game today?
No, you're getting
No, you're
not
getting
getting
him in
that
his
current
prime.
one.
So this is continuing off of the time travel thing. What you're doing is you've chosen the time travel technology. You've gone back, and what happened is for some reason you can't dethrone Chiarelli. He's a time traveling wizard. Also, he goes back and he protects himself. You have to go back again, and you can grab another player and bring him back into the future with you.
Because you can't look at this like you're losing 14 draft picks. You have to look at it like you're losing probably 3 or 4 good prospects. Because it's magic beans after the second round of the draft.
What happens to our former Oiler after the 2 years? Does he
He evaporates.
He
disappear?
disintegrates.
Do we get to trade him?
He's like
No, he
the
evaporates.
Avengers.
Okay.
I don't feel so good, Mr. Chiarelli, and then he disappears.
So Dan, you are on board with giving up 14 picks,
2 or 3.
taking up a Pronger type situation for the 1 year at 650 or whatever the league.
Who is our GM during this?
It's all the same.
hypothetical?
It's all the same.
Everything's
Okay,
the
so
same.
Chiarelli.
Chiarelli is right now.
Okay,
Imagine
well,
if we
then
did all the hypotheticals as like a continuous thing. So now we don't have Chiarelli, but we have 2 Connors. Do I do this still?
So then all we have on our team is a Connor McDavid and a Chris Pronger.
No, you have the whole
But like
team.
everybody else is around. It's today's roster
just no
plus
picks
Pronger.
for the next 2 years.
Yeah.
Oh,
So-
I would draft Connor. Of course I would draft Connor.
Okay, so you're doubling down on the last one. You have another Connor.
Wait, we can grab another Connor
You can grab another Connor at league minimum for 1
For
year
1
for
year.
your next. You can
instead of the draft picks.
So you
I
can
have
have
a hard time giving
like
that up.
2000, I don't know, this year McDavid, I guess. Sure, who cares? Or you can have 16, 17 McDavid. Fuck it. Doesn't matter.
Or you could have last year's Taylor Hall.
He wasn't an Oiler though. It has to be an Oiler, like from his Oiler year.
But then, listen. Peter, how do you know Peter Chiarelli won't trade your player for Magic Beans? Because he's
He didn't say that as a part of the hypothetical, so you
I
don't,
don't know.
have to worry
So
about that.
if you want to tell yourself that you acquired 2000, 2001 Doug Waite and
No
Peter
movement
Chiarelli
clauses.
traded him for, I don't fucking know, Matt Zuccarello or something, then sure, that could be part of your hypothetical if you want your imagination to stretch that far.
oh man,
That just goes to show you how bad Chiarelli is and how in the other hypothetical you should pick the time travel and not the 2 McDavids.
what do
Chris,
you guys think?
Well, Dan's already in on going back and bringing back Pronger. Because in Dan's opinion, you're only going to miss out on maybe those top tier picks, and that's where the damage is. So I can see where Dan's thinking.
It's like you're trading Yamamoto, Puljujarvi, and whoever their fucking second round picks, Tyler Benson for Pronger. Like, come on, it's easy.
Yeah, but I'm thinking past the 2 years. Yamamoto, even if he like stays the same for the next 2 years, you can still trade him for something better.
Can you?
Yeah.
Chris is thinking about post Connor McDavid Edmonton Oilers right now.
But if you get 0506 Pronger right now, you're like a cup favorite.
Yes.
Are you though?
Yes.
With our roster?
Did you see what he did in 06? He led this team to the promised land.
Okay, what do you
know.
guys think? I want to hear what Rick's got here, and you guys.
No, you can't do that. I mean, yes, Chris Pronger was great and all. We had a lot of help up front. We don't have a Pisani. We don't have a Torres. We don't have the.
Well, you could say Jason.
We don't have the guts
in
we don't have the guts and the sweat that team had. Those guys were getting in the corners. They were getting dirty. There was the intensity level that someone like a Drake brought, but he brought it all the time. This team is still a little too passive. The only way you do that is if you bring in Pronger and then you turn around and you trade him. But I don't think that's not part of the whole plot. That's not part of the whole.
Absolutely, it can be.
Well, then you have
You can trade Pronger for Ladislav Schmid.
You'd have to trade. It would have to be. I'd be looking at Colorado. I want the Ottawa's first round pick. If I sat down, I'm sure I could come up with a trade. But no, you got to go with it with the draft picks. It's not Pete's not the one who's doing the drafting, anyways. Keith's out there doing it. Gretzky's doing a great job. You're looking at Bear and you're looking at Jones. Those guys are both like 4s and 5s. There's other players out there. Lidstrom's like a 7. You're giving up way too much. A 7th round pick. You're giving up way too much. And next year when it's over, you're back to where you are right now, and you have nothing in the pipeline.
But you also have a Stanley Cup that you can just rest on.
There's no guarantee. So I'm looking at the 2005-2006 Oilers right now. Ales Hemsky led that team with 77 points. Then Horkov had 73. Jared Stoll had 68. Smith had 66. Pronger had 56. Looking at the Oilers roster right now, they don't have the secondary scoring of that team. So would a Chris Pronger being added today, would he make a massive difference? Absolutely. But would that guarantee a cup win? No chance. So what I'm doing is, yes, I am bringing Chris Pronger back. I'm going to forego the 2 years of draft picks. I am trading Chris Pronger at the deadline because we know he evaporates. And with the benefit of this hypothetical, I know he's going to evaporate. The receiving team does not know that. So come October, they think they're going to have Chris Pronger on the roster. And all of a sudden, he is just Kaiser Sose'd up into the clouds. Now, who would you get? I'm doing big player. We need a big winger. Like I'm talking, you're going to Colorado, but we want Nathan McKinnon back or something like that. That's what I'm talking about. That's the kind of hypothetical situation I'm going for. I'm bringing back Pronger, and I am trading him at the deadline. Yes, the Oilers are going to be vilified for this decision, but that is my choice, Chris.
Some really fun 3D chess you could do here if you wanted to fuck over, say, the Toronto Maple Leafs and their young nerd GM Kyle Dubas with his glasses and his laptop and his calculator and his spreadsheets, is you can say, hey Kyle, here's your D-man Chris Pronger, give me Austin Matthews, give me Mitch Marner.
Yeah, there you go. See, this is what I'm talking about.
And then their D-man evaporates at the end of the year.
And then
they would have a Stanley Cup.
There's no guarantees,
not with
man.
Matthews
Any
and
given
Marner.
Sunday, as we saw with this Oilers team, you can be the 8th seed and go on.
But you can put you can put Pronger on the Leafs and they'll still lose to the fucking Bruins.
So listen to this then. So would you take Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner right now to forfeit your next 2 years draft picks?
Absolutely. What? Come on.
Are you saying and or? Like Austin Matthews?
I guess and. Like if you would make the
Both.
Pronger trade with them.
Both
You
of
wouldn't
those
get
players?
both of them for Pronger right now.
The problem is now we're going
No.
deep down the rabbit hole. The problem is just the cap implications of having both of them. You would have to trade both or one of those guys almost immediately.
So back to the original question, I would not take that hypothetical.
So you're keeping your draft picks.
I'm keeping the draft
You guys need
picks.
to live a little. Live a little.
Yeah, man, get a little bit exciting.
Yeah, I want 2 Connor McDavids on my team.
Because what I'm doing is I'm acquiring 1992-1993 Vincent Damphus to play on the second line with Leon
quality
Draisaitl.
scorer.
Exactly.
That's
now
a
you
quality
have 2
scorer.
really good scoring lines. Why did nobody consider that? What the fuck is wrong with all of you?
Maybe Bernie Nichols. He is the third. You know what? Bernie Nichols had a hell of a run when he was here. Let's not discount a player like that. Maybe you can trade what about in your hypothetical, could you trade a Pronger for a different set of past Oilers, like in a 2-for-1 scenario? Because Pronger is worth Damphus and Bernie Nichols. So I'm trading past Pronger for past Bernie Nichols and Vincent Damphus.
Don't forget Miroslav Shatan.
Of course,
Yeah,
why not?
what if you traded past Pronger for a really good pair of Jason Smith instead of Steve Stais?
We didn't draft Jason Smith, though.
Yeah, you know what I miss about Steve Stais? The way he would rim it around the boards every single play. Never get
Steady.
tired of that. Never get tired of that. Chris Russell could learn from Steve Stais by rimming it more around the boards instead of going directly to the player he's passing to, generally on the other team. Now,
See, I think you people that wouldn't take the former Oiler are suffering from some kind of Stockholm syndrome.
there it goes. There's the word of the day. Stockholm Syndrome.
But that's bad.
There we go.
But I got it in there.
He crowbarred it in.
You've been kidnapped by the Oilers and you just think they can't go on a big playoff run because you don't believe in yourselves.
Boys, we are running out of time on this here podcast, so I want to finish things off with a couple of questions from Twitter from some glorious ON Radio listeners. Are you ready?
I was born ready.
At Malignant Manny asks, how badly do you think Peter Chiarelli will screw us over before he's fired? Chris, I'm going to start with you. What do you think?
I don't know how to answer that.
Here, let me put it this way. Let's follow the Eberle trade train, shall we? Eberle for Ryan Strome. Ryan Strome for Ryan Spooner. Ryan Spooner will probably acquire a 4th round pick. So, along that train of thought, how badly do you think Peter Chiarelli will leave the Oilers before he's gone?
have hope and I want to have faith that something is going to work in our favor sooner or later. So I want to say maybe like 90% he'll screw us over badly, but there's still a small percentage that something will work out for us.
See, there's 2 ways we're saved here. One, he's screwed up enough that his hands are tied so tightly that he really can't screw up that much more. And 2, I'm 50-50 on him being GM come February 1st anyways. So there's a time factor in here. He may be out of time anyways. I think he does very little damage to what he has, adding to the damage he's already done. We're okay. We're going to be safe.
It's hard to really hard to go any deeper than he has already.
I think bad things come in threes, and Chiarelli. Hold on. Bad things come in threes. Spooner trade was 1. Manning trade was 2. Deadline is 3. We are going to see an all new level of meme caliber Chiarelli trade at the deadline. Him dealing from a point of desperation to save his job. It is going to be ass backwards and fucked. He's going to trade for a player that probably doesn't exist.
See, I thought he was trading from desperation to save his job last summer.
Yeah, you would think that. See, like Cam's talking about bad things happen in threes, but with Peter Chiarelli, it's multiples of 3. Seems like.
Yeah.
The square root of 3.
Along the same vein, Shyster19 or at McJesus1919 wants to know real quick: will Peter Chiarelli be around next year? Dan,
No.
Chris,
No.
Cam,
No.
Rick says no, and I'm going to say no. Make the playoffs or not, he is gone. Slammin' Salmon, Sam Ackerhurst.
He's the guy that I'm doing the Colby Cave bet with.
Ackerhurst. What is your favorite piece of Oilers memorabilia? Is it a sign? Is it a jersey, sign, stick, picture, something of sentimental value? Dan, I'll start with you.
I'm afraid to admit this because I'm wondering if Slammon's going to try and come and take it from me, but it is my signed Connor McDavid jersey.
You have a signed Connor jersey. Is it framed?
Not yet.
Have you worn it?
I have not. I will not.
Where is it right now?
It's hidden in a fireproof box.
Oh boy. Chris?
Like a few years ago, some guy on the street sold me a piece of ice that was from the 2006 playoffs.
Oh, man.
So paid lots of money for that. So that's my favorite memorabilia piece.
Is that true?
No, it's not true.
Okay, good.
I don't know. I don't have much memorabilia. I would say the first Oilers jersey I got since I was a little kid was my most recent 97 jersey. So I'm going to say that.
The longest one I've had is a Doug Waite one from 96, but my best one is a personalized, signed for Christmas Connor McDavid jersey. Work went to his house, had it specifically signed for me for that year. So yeah, no, that was directly from him to me. That's right, number 1.
So we're 3 for 3 with Connor jerseys.
Cam, what is your most prized piece of Oilers memorabilia?
It's either my signed Oilers Laddie Schmid jersey or my signed Oilers George LaRocque jersey, which I wear at rotations to the Oilers games. Right now, the Schmid jersey is lucky. I wore it to the Buffalo game and they won big.
Isn't that jersey like Correct me if I'm wrong. Is that jersey not a child size?
The Larocque one? Yeah, the Larocque one's a kid's XL. The Schmid one's an adult XL.
What about your Koskinen jersey? You don't
Oh
like
yeah,
that?
okay. Top 3 is the Koskinen jersey that I ordered because I went to an Oilers game when they played Dallas, and I did a prop bet where I said if Koskinen gets a shutout, I'll buy his jersey.
My most prized piece of Oilers memorabilia, I've got a couple. The first, near and dear to my heart, is of course, Chris, my Ryan Nugent-Hopkins jersey. It is the only jersey I have with a name on it, and it is the only jersey I will get with a name on it. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. The second thing I can think of off the top of my head is back in the day, Chris, back in the 90s, the Oilers used to let you just go wait outside the dressing room. A youngster like me would be able to stand at the fence, wait for players to come out, and hopefully they'd wander over and say, "Hey, Baggedmilk, how you doing, son? You enjoy the game? Here's an autograph." Back in the day, that used to be a thing that happened, Dan.
Yep.
I remember one day my dad taking me down there and Bill Ranford signing my game day program. So I have got a Bill Ranford signed game day program. He spent a couple of minutes talking to me. Third up, if I'm doing a top 3, is going to be with the picture I took with the Polish Prince, Mariusz Czajkowski at Carnival of Champions.
Wow.
Wasn't that at Wem? That wasn't at Wem.
No,
was
they
it?
used to hold it at Rexall.
I didn't realize that this was a top 3 list, but I would also have to put in my a jersey. So back in the day, young Dan couldn't afford to go to games even then. And so I had a friend that offered to take my jersey to outside of the locker room, and he got almost the entire 95-96 Edmonton Oilers to sign a jersey. And I because I wasn't there, I can't identify half of the signatures, but I have.
Did they not put their number beside the signature?
Some of them did, and then most
Like you
of
got
them,
like Todd Ellick on there.
yeah, and most of them have like just obscure numbers, and it's hard to try and figure out. But yeah, I have a jersey with a bunch of signatures on it. I
Jim
don't know.
Dowd.
There would be some great signatures on that thing that you probably just like, if you deep dive into who was on that team, you'd be like, oh, wow, Zdeno Seeger, cool.
Sometime maybe what I'll do is I'll just try and take a picture of all the signatures and have the nation try and help me figure out who the hell they all
Yeah, a
are.
little crowdsourcing. I bet that could work out. I want to end off today's podcast by talking about next week's podcast. Why, Chris? Because we don't often have guests on this show.
Ever?
Well, we had Corey that one time.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Shout out to Corey from Sherwood Ford. Next week, we have got a legitimate guest that all of you are going to enjoy. You're all going to know who this guy is.
We promise.
You're all going to want to hear next week's episode of ON Radio. Thanks again to Sherwood Ford the Giant. Thanks again to Get Sauced. And thanks again for Lot D for playing us out.
Shout
Ladies and
out,
gentlemen, have a wonderful weekend.
shout out Damien.
Best wishes.